All right, guys, welcome back to the Wemaxit slash Imaxit YouTube platforms. I'm your host, JD, and beside me, it's the tactical genius and the
Yeah,
American that believes that they're going to be smoking the Jamaicans again. Yeah. So, hello, Mr. Tactical, how are you doing?
yeah. I need to make it clear. I'm not a tactical manager. I am the tactical
Okay.
manager. So there's a difference, right? Pep Guardiola is a tactical manager. I'm not a tactical man. I'm just the tactical manager. There's a difference.
Oh,
Some people will get it. Some people won't get it. But no. I'm looking forward to this game against Jamaica, the semifinals of the Concacaf Nations League. I do believe that the United States are the clear favorites. I'm sure we're going to talk about that.
hmm
I don't think Jamaica doesn't have a shot. They definitely have a shot. I just think that based on the players we talked about previously in other episodes, that Jamaica's missing. I actually, for a long time, had Jamaica having a legitimate shot to knock out the United States with Ethan Pinnock, with Leon Bailey, Damari Gray suspended, but add him to the mix, and Amari Bell. All those guys together, I was like, if the U.S. doesn't bring their A game and doesn't play well, Jamaica will knock them out in the United States. But you remove all of those guys, and then you're left off like you still have Andre Blake, great goalkeeper, Mikel Antonio still there, Bobby Reed, but I think the odds of Jamaica advancing are extremely low. Not zero, but very low with all those players that you're missing. But we'll talk about it because we're going to talk about the U.S. a little bit too.
All right, all right. So let me continue on the USA because definitely you talked about the weaknesses of Jamaica, which definitely everyone knows because obviously we have reported on it on every single day. And now we have added one more person off the list, Kadama Thierry, an 18-year-old from Sheffield in the championship. He decides this. They said stated that he's going to be here, but in his club they have posted that he might join the England U19s. So we are still not sure of a a, a other individual. So maybe we will be short in our roster yet again. But nevertheless, that is okay. We expect drama once it is the Jamaican squad. So tell me some things about the United States team injuries, replacements, because I heard that you guys had some injuries. So maybe that would draw the table back down. Like the percentage that you thought you had, it might
No,
go back down to maybe 10%. So it gives the Jamaicans a little bit more leeway to take it.
I don't think the injuries affect the U.S. at all. So the two players that got injured were Josh Sargent and Luca De La Torre. Uh, Luca De La Torre was probably not going to see the field. He was probably not going to play because you have Tyler Adams is back and he's healthy. He said he can play 45 to 60 minutes. So Tyler Adams is back. McKennie can play all the full 90. Musa can play the full 90. Gio's well rested and should be able to play the full 90. Johnny Cardoso playing for Real Betis can play the full 90. And Malik Tillman can also play in the midfield. So Luca wasn't going to play. And then as the center forward, Sargent is a good option, but I still think Balogun and Pepe are the two options ahead of him. So would he have played? Probably not. And then the U.S. brought Haji Wright, that is also scoring a lot of goals in the championship, just like Sargent, and can play on the wing. Has been playing more as a winger, and Brendan Aronson. So I don't think those injuries affected the United States at all. And when you look at the U.S. men's national team right now, maybe the only player that we're missing that is also replaceable, in my opinion, but he could have played would be Cameron Carter Vickers from Celtic. He's not in the roster because he's injured or was injured. He's coming back from an injury, but you can still play Tim Ream and Chris Richards. Those are two Premier League center backs. So I guess the biggest miss the U.S. probably has against Jamaica is Serginho Dest. He's suspended because of the red card against Trinidad and Tobago. But we do replace him with Joe Scally, that's starting in the Bundesliga for Borussia Mönchengladbach. So there is a drop off. I believe Dest is better than Scally, but it's not like Scally's a scrub. Still a really good fullback right there that's going to be playing. And honestly, much better defensively. So it will probably be more of a problem for the Jamaican forwards than defenders. I don't think any of these injuries or suspensions really bring the U.S. down to the level of the Jamaicans that you're missing. You're missing some pretty freaking like the players you're missing are as if the U.S. didn't have like Pulisic, McKennie, and Richards. That's what it is.
And I love the way you kind of put everything together. that tells how far the United States have actually come, because the depth that you guys have is pretty much insane. Damn. Because at this point, you clearly have MLS players in your team. And what I wanted to ask you is like, what grade you would have given the coach? Because I know you always seems to fight the coach for no reason. So,
The
but no,
no, no.
at
What
the
do you
way
mean for no
the way
reason?
you're
What do you mean
talking,
for no
the way
reason?
but the way you're talking, you must can give me a good statement on the actual squad, because you said the squad is good. So is it that he changed his ways? Because before, when we were talking like 2 3 years ago, he usually like try to mix the thing, just like Jamaica trying to mix locals with overseas players. But no, I've seen his policy like it's just straight, the best level players put together. So you like his policy at this point, and how much would you give him a rating?
If we look entirely at the roster, I'd give it a 9.9. It's nearly a perfect roster for what he had available. The only one I would have changed would have been Miles Robinson, MLS defender, for Austin Trusty, that's playing for Sheffield in the Premier League. Not standing out at the Premier League by any means, but still playing in the Prem and a good championship center back. Outside of that, um, roster selection wise, it's good. And to be fair, ever since Berhalter returned in September, was his first camp last year, his roster selections, there hasn't been much to complain about. Like out of 23 players, maybe there's one or two players that are like, like I probably would get another guy here and there, but nothing too scandalous like it was before. Before, the decisions were moronic, constantly moronic. And even in the World Cup, just for context, in the World Cup, he brought Aaron Long, DeAndre Yedlin, Shaq Moore, Roldan, Morris. These are all players that are very mediocre. They're not good players. He brought four right backs to the World Cup. Four right
Yes,
backs.
I know, I
Why?
know.
I don't know. He brought four right backs to the World Cup. It was moronic decision after moronic decision. In terms of roster selection, he's been fine since he returned in September, Berhalter. And then in terms of picking the starting 11, he's also been picking the starting 11, I would say, as good as the roster. The only issue is we're still playing the same pragmatic system, Berhalter ball, which is very rigid, and you just try to go through the flanks and whip in crosses. The creativity is a little bit better when Gio Reyna plays down the middle with Balogun. They can combine, but still, he has the eights pushing out wide and the fullbacks pushing high up the field, providing width. While,
Yeah,
in my opinion, it'd be better to maybe have 1-8 drift inside, play with a double 10, McKennie and Gio, and then have the fullbacks stay a bit more. And let the wings provide the width. So the problem is more of his system. But no, if you compare Berhalter's player selection, roster selection, starting 11, it's been mostly on point, and no one's been really complaining about his decisions for the most part in that regard. But the system is still a problem. It doesn't play the players to the best ability, and his in-game management continues to be very questionable. Like the game that the U.S. lost to Trinidad, it was mostly on Dest because Dest got that silly red card where he just kicked the ball to the stands and act like a child with the ref. But the problem is, we were up 1-0 at that time. And it seemed like Berhalter didn't have a plan. It's like, what if we get a red card? Which can happen in a game. Like, we can play Jamaica and get a red card 10 minutes. What's the plan if that happens? It seemed like the team was confused, lost. Berhalter didn't know what to do. So he took out Gio Reyna because he had a plan of taking him out at halftime because of his health. But that wasn't the right move because you needed to hold possession to try to hold that 1-0 and recompose. The in-game management is still really bad. It seems like Berhalter doesn't have a feel for the game, but I expect the starting 11 to be good. I expect him to put out a good starting 11.
okay, okay, well said, well said. And I love the way you put it. So within the next 3 years, because obviously we are preparing to get the World Cup in 2026,
2 years.
are you seeing 2 years, 2 years, but I put 3 years because I want to see how because I was going to use the word dominant, because you always think that you're better than Mexico, which I
Why?
am always thinking that maybe it's if or but um aside from what you saying,
When
all
was the
right, let
last time
me
they
see.
beat us?
No, they never had to beat you. They had to
2019.
beat Panama because Panama did brush you. So they never needed to beat you. Let we not go down that road. Let me just ask you a question. Within the next 3 years, based off what you said, the coach is picking proper. He's picking the squad properly and putting on the right persons on the field. But he has challenges in game and such. So he has his flaws as well. Do you see within the next 3 years you become the flat out best team in CONCACAF and getting closer to the Germanys of this world and them stuff there to beat them on a regular basis?
I think in terms of the players that the US has, if there's a coach that can get the best out of every player, the US is not at a Germany level or France or Brazil, and the US won't be at that level at least for another decade. Probably more. Probably more. I think we have a long way to go to reach that. If we ever do, we might never reach that level, right? Those are World Cup contenders. But I do think the U.S. has enough players that with the right coach, they can pull upsets. Can the U.S. beat Germany, Brazil, and France in the same World Cup? No, it's not going to happen. Can the U.S. with these players and a good coach beat one of them? Yeah, in a one-off game. I think that could happen. Right now under Berhalter, do I think that's possible? No, I don't think it is because I haven't seen any evidence of that. Berhalter, during his time with the U.S. men's national team, has been surprisingly very predictable. So he mainly beats who you expect him to beat. So he plays a CONCACAF team at home, he beats them. Goes to the World Cup, beats Iran, right? Should have beat Wales and tied Wales. Pulled the draw with England, which was probably the best result he's ever had. And then he
And should
beats
have beaten
opponent.
England as well.
Yeah,
I
should have.
was
It was a
watching
bit
that
of a
game.
weird game. It was a bit of a weird. It seemed like England played down a level rather than we played up a level. But uh, the main thing with him is like he does what he's supposed to do for the most part. He qualified to the World Cup in third place, which is not good enough, but he qualified, right? Got his job done. It seems like he never gets the team to punch above its weight once, not even once. And the US is not the best team in the world. The US is not even a top 10 team in the world, probably somewhere in the top 20s, which means if the United States wants to do something special in 2026, like a quarterfinals, maybe a semifinals, you need a coach that can get the team to punch above its weight. And we haven't done that so far. Like, for example, we're going to play Jamaica at home. If he beats Jamaica, he's expected to do that. It's not an upset. If he beats Mexico, he's expected to beat Mexico at home. He has better players than Mexico and Jamaica right now. So I think the big test for Berhalter might be the Copa America over the summer when he has to play Uruguay, Colombia, Brazil, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now you're playing teams that are actually better than you. Find a way to get a result. Change your tactics. Change the player selection. Find a way. Grind it out. Sometimes you have to play ugly. Sometimes you can play pretty. If you remember in the World Cup, the U.S., as much as some people try to say it's not, we kind of got ran over by the Dutch. The Dutch beat us whenever they wanted to in that game. Yeah, it was. It's not like the Dutch
I
had to
know
put in.
the metric, you guys' stamina level in that game was impressive, but the technical level from the Dutch, yes, I agree with you. They had some skills because they realized that you guys were faster, fitter, but they were technically just better in their brains. So
Well,
they
and
really exposed United States lack of technical sides in that game for real. But I still believe that if you give it more time, like the next 4 years, and they meet back at Netherlands, it would be a different game. I just
well,
have
he
that
also
feeling.
got out coached by Van Gaal in a very silly mistake. He played the same system against the Dutch, and Van Gaal knew that the fullbacks were going to be high up the field. He exploited those spaces in behind the fullbacks, and that's how most of the goals came from the Dutch, if not all of them,
Yeah,
actually.
Dumfries had a very good game in that one.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, man. Yeah, yeah, I understand. But as you said, the Concacaf is not the strongest region, and we have two teams that have always punched above their weights in the rest of the world, which is Mexico and United States. Mexico a little bit more on the worldwide stage. I know you don't like to hear that, but that is the facts. All right. So that
No,
would
yeah, for the
technically
most
mean
part,
that
yes,
they are the
but
better one.
still, the U.S. made further into the World Cups than Mexico, right? The U.S. actually made it
Oh
to a
my
quarterfinal.
God. All right, you know what? Let we leave that. People, we will be covering that in maybe in the future as well, Copa America, and we might be looking at it as well. But give me, because we want to come to the end of this one, give me a prediction. Give me a prediction. What are you expecting? Because I heard you in the last video that we covered. You're saying that if he loses to this Jamaican team, he should be fired.
Yeah. I think if we lose to Jamaica, Berhalter should go collect unemployment benefits. He should be out. Uh, my prediction is a 3-1 U.S. win. I think Jamaica's best bet is to sit back, soak up pressure, try to go long, hope Antonio can pull something off and get a goal like that. And also because the U.S. does struggle against low block. So if you play a low block and you bunker, Berhalter ball usually struggles against that. Trinidad and Tobago was able to hold a 0-0 draw against the U.S. in Austin, I think all the way to the 80th minute. And Jamaica is better. Even without a lot of the players they're missing, Jamaica is better. So that's why I said Jamaica has a good chance. The problem for Jamaica is if the U.S. scores first in the first half, for example, Jamaica will have to open up. They'll have to take the initiative and attack. And then you start to have to play against the US and giving some players like Balogun, Pulisic, Weah, McKennie, Reyna some space. And then I can see the US getting a 2, 3 goals. But I still think Jamaica has enough quality up top to punish the US. That's why I don't give the US a clean sheet. I think it'll be a 3-1 US victory. Um, now, if Jamaica can pull off the first goal, whatever way, if it's off a corner, in transition, a counterattack, the U.S. will be in big trouble because I think the Jamaican coach is very smart. He's very smart, and he's probably going to sit back, hold back, be physical, and the U.S. will struggle to score. So Jamaica's best bet is to hold that 0-0 draw for as long as they can in the game because then it becomes a detailed game. And if they score the first goal in the second half, I honestly think the U.S. might not be able to come back from that, might not be able to pull a draw. So
Okay.
I have the U.S. as the clear favorites, but I just want to make that clear. If they lose, it's a major upset, but they should not underestimate the Jamaican side. That's my point. It's not like we're
Uh,
facing freaking Grenada. That's the point I want to make clear. That's what I want to.
don't disrespect Grenada because we played Grenada, and I can tell you, I swore I was playing America. All right, I didn't know what I was watching. Believe, oh my God, go and check that game. It ended. I thought it ended 4-1, but good lord, our keeper had to make some big saves because we had waiting goal and we never had Blake. And I'm telling you, at one point they were the ones that should have took the lead in the game. Yeah, yeah. So don't um disrespect any one of these small teams, because Grenada plays very good football. Yes, but I get you. I get you. The last point I wanted to touch on, because you say that you struggle when people sits back, so the low block teams. You don't think where Pulisic, um Reina, they have gotten better, and Western McKennie, they have gotten better to unlock low block teams, because I thought that I am seeing it in the AC Milan team. I'm seeing it from Western McKennie. I'm seeing it early on in the season for from in Dortmund. So they have the skill set. So why is it not clicking? Is it the coach's system causing the problem? Because these players can break down low blocks. So why is it not working as what you saw?
So it's hard to tell. I'm going based off like old data also because the last time we didn't really struggle against low blocks in 2023 because when we played Mexico and Canada in the Nations League, they didn't really put low blocks, right? Mexico never bunkers against the US and Canada didn't either in the final. After that, we played the Gold Cup with the B team. Can't really talk much about that because the players you just listed, they weren't there. And then we played a series of friendlies against Oman, Uzbekistan, Germany, Ghana, and then we played Trinidad and Tobago. Against Trinidad and Tobago, we struggled to break their low block when we played in Austin, Texas. But you just mentioned Pulisic and Weah, for example. They were not available for that game. So again, maybe if they were there, would have picked the lock earlier and scored a goal. So look, based on previous data, we struggle against low blocks. Could Weah, Pulisic, Gio, McKennie. McKennie's been a playmaker for Juventus, right? Um,
Very, very good
Balogun.
as well.
Could it still work? Yeah. I think the U.S. has enough quality to do so. It's just a matter of how they're going to position themselves in the field, how the players are going to feel, the chemistry. You are right. They have the quality to do it, but they haven't proven that. Maybe against Jamaica, they'll prove that. Jamaica will sit back and they'll just completely destroy the low block. Who knows? But I haven't seen evidence of that. So if I was the Jamaican coach, I would sit back and go route one football, try to go long and see what happens. That's what I would do.
All right. So thanks yet again, Filippo. Yes. So, guys, if you want to subscribe to Filippo, I think he's very honest. He started off as how the Americans talk, very, very confident, but he explained himself because I think it's tied between the age of Berhalter made him like this. If not, he would have been straight out confident in this entire video. All right, that's
No,
all
I
I'm
mean,
gonna tell you
just to
guys.
make it clear, I am 99% sure the U.S. will advance. That's what I was saying. I'm just saying that there are ways where Jamaica can pull this off. Like I said, Jamaica is not a scrub team, so they can pull it off, and it's a one-off match. Anything can happen. I just don't see it happening.
Okay, it's not 99%. All right, and we do have a next video coming up from his side, so I will give my prediction right there. I've explained the situation, the crisis of injuries, and forced suspensions from the JFF side, and also persons not turning up as well. So it makes the squad significantly weaker. But as you know, we have to fight. So thanks it again, Philip for joining us. Please, guys, his link will be in the description. So please go there, click it, and support Philip over there. Thanks. Bye bye.